Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I'm back for another episode of our stitch along, and we're going to have some more fun with buttonhole stitch, doing some variations suggested by the lovely Kimberly. So for this session we're going to do crossed buttonhole stitch. I've just threaded my needle up with some vintage ecru. It's the brand Shade, says made in England. I think it's quite old actually. But it's just a nice looking beigey colour that kind of matches with the colour up here, but I'm going to be working down in this section and I'll be using the lower line of the blue section as my guide. I had drawn myself a few dots, but I don't think I'll actually need those. So I'll start off popping out on my lower line here, and there's a knot in the thread at the back to hold it in place. I'm then going to come diagonally over to my imaginary line down the middle of this section, and then I'm going to bring my needle diagonally, but less of a diagonal, back about sort of halfway along between an imaginary line here and an imaginary line where I started. And I'm going to make sure my thread is under the tip of my needle. I'm going to pull it through, and then I'm going to take my needle up to above where that point was, and then take my needle back down to an imaginary point line below where that piece of thread is. So we're forming like a little cross on the surface like that. So you get your little cross up the top and a little continuous line down the bottom. So we're going to go again diagonally across from this point. Going to come back halfway, pretty much, put our thread under the needle, pull our needle through. We're then going to go above that point, back to below the other point. Make sure our thread is under the needle so we get that loop and we get our little cross. And so again, go diagonally over here, halfway, then back on a diagonal, put the thread under the tip, pull the thread through, go back above that midway point, come back under our other point, keep the thread under the tip of the needle, and you'll get that nice cross. Oops. And then diagonally across again. And you can do these whatever sort of width you want, so you can play around with the decorative effect, but I think it's quite a nice little border stitch to do. So I hope you're having a great day or a great evening. As always, appreciative of your company, and the fact I get to spend it with some of you who join the live chat is just such an amazing gift to be. The gifts of this stitching world are many and various. Okay, so always thread under the tip of the needle before you pull it through so that you get your little loop. And knot now probably a bit further over that way, and then coming halfway back, so you're always going on a bigger diagonal, then coming halfway back, thread under the needle, pulling it through, and then matching up with that point and taking the needle back to an equal point below your other. So always sort of working above and below in imaginary lines, and I didn't have the thread where I needed it, but I was able to pick it up before I pulled it through, so I still got my nice little cross. Always under the tip of the needle, pull through. I might need to just orientate myself around a bit. And the problem when I do that is that the thread is not where I need it, which is under the tip of the needle. Always a challenge trying to find the right position to do things in. Okay, popping out. Hold my thread down here, that might be the way to go. The hoop does have its merits, but it does make some things a smidge trickier, just navigating around. I'm using a bigger hoop actually, that's a vintage hoop I got with a lovely piece of embroidery on it. I feel like I'm making those ones a tiny bit smaller than the other ones. I'll just pretend that's part of the design feature that I was after, but I'll just be a bit more mindful of that as I go forward. Probably the problem that I turned it around, so I kind of lost the perspective that I had on it. So maybe I do just have to go back to this direction, even if it's a little bit fiddlier. Come on, needle, pop out where I want you, please. Probably gone too far up for that one, but that's okay. We'll make do. Okay, so we're going to go diagonally across again. Up there, part way back, always keeping the thread under the tip of the needle and pulling through, holding onto our thread. Popping our needle through below the other bit of thread. So going diagonally across, and then back halfway, pulling through, holding the thread, pulling it through. This weave again is just trying to pull a little bit, so I'm just going to angle a tiny bit further up, I think. Take a bit of a pressure off that particular weave in the fabric. Diagonally halfway back, holding the thread and then putting a stitch in there and taking it over underneath the other stitch. So once you get going, it's a pretty good little stitch, I think. Sorry, I must be in deep concentration of my spacing because I'm just not chatting away as much tonight. Do one more stitch, I think. And I will then just take it forward one little notch, take it to the back and finish it off like that. So that is our crossed buttonhole. So as I say, I think it would be a great little bordering stitch, a great little decorative stitch to have in your bag of tricks. So I'll see you back tomorrow, potentially for another buttonhole. I've still got to explore the full list that Kimberly gave me. But if they're as nice as this little one, we'll definitely give them a go. So thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.